All right, welcome everybody. We're get started about 2 or 3 minutes from now. All right, so hang tight and we'll be back at you. All right, welcome everybody to Stock Analysis Fridays. All right, so today, January 20th, 2023, great to have you on board here today. All right, if you lose my audio or the video is not clear, let me know in the comments area because that's the only way I'll know that there's something wrong and hopefully everything will be okay today. But sometimes, we experience things like that. So definitely keep us informed of what's going on in terms of the quality of the presentation. All right, before we get going, let me quickly just jump into some administrational items. First thing I want you to do is you can go ahead in the comments area and start typing in stocks or ETFs you want me to look up. So we'll get to those today, and I'll go through a couple in the beginning that I want to show you, and then we'll jump on board and take a look at the ones you want to. So I'm getting good feedback on the audio. It's good. The video is good, so I think everything is looking pretty good. All right, so markets are up a little bit today, about 43 points. Nasdaq's up about 130, so we're off to a fairly decent start. All right, not great, but not bad. All right, because we had a good sell-off yesterday and the day before. So let's see what today holds, of course. All right, let me get into the risks involved in trading. I always have to cover this before we begin an event like this. We want you to know that past performance does not equal future performance, and there is potential for loss in trading the financial markets or even investing. So definitely check with your financial advisor or money manager before implementing any of the trades that we may recommend, because we don't know if they're going to be suitable for your style of trading or for your particular situation, and they will know. So definitely check with them. Also, too, make sure you trade with risk capital. This is money you can afford to risk in the markets. When we short-term trade using technical analysis, it's different than investing. What we're looking at is the momentum. We call these momentum trades. So we're trying to catch trends, short scalps in the markets, and that's totally different than investing. So keep that in mind as well. Now, also, too, it's important that you know how to do risk control when you financially trade the markets. This includes setting stops and also position sizing. And we've got quite a few books that can help you on that. The one I'm going to direct you to is the second one from the right called Money Management for Traders, in the green outline there. That's our newest book, came out with that last year. It's going to give you everything you need to know to implement good risk control into your program. Of course, if you want a deeper dive, we have another book on the far left called Traders Money Management System, and so you may enjoy that as well. We have the new Art of Trading book coming out this year. Really excited about this. It's a second edition built on top of the book we released in 2008 on the art, called The Art of Trading, on our applied reality trading system. And this one is going to include the new one, new techniques we've learned in these markets, and also too, the new software that we've released since then. And then we've got the Elliott Wave Technique Simplified. You'll see me use that on charts today too, and the Survival Guide for Traders. So I'll put a link up in the recording for that, and you can check that out. Now, we also use a variety of software tools that I created over the last 30 years of trading the financial markets. This includes charting software, scanners, and risk control software. I'll put a link up there as well. If you notice the banner at the bottom there, you can check it all out at appliedrealitytrading.com. All right, and then finally, please give us a like. That always apparently helps with the stats here on YouTube and whatever. So that is muchly appreciated. And of course, also too, the more people we get here, the better this presentation is, because we can look at more markets for potential stocks that we can share here going forward into the next week. All right, and then finally, thank you for attending. Great to have everybody here. All right, so let me come out of here and jump into the charts. What I want to do first before I get going is just kind of explain my layout a little bit here. I happen to be using the NinjaTrader charting platform, which is compatible with our software. It's a great platform, but we are also compatible on TradeStation, eSignal, for example, and MetaTrader 4 and 5, and multi-chart. So you may want to check those out there as well. Now at the top, you'll see this rainbow colored columns and rows. That's our scanners. We're not going to be really using those today, but that is how we uncover and find markets on the various scanners that we look at, certain forms of technical analysis in those scanners that lead us to high probability trades. Below that, you'll see three charts. The one on the left is the 60-minute chart. This gives us a short-term look at the stock or ETF we're looking at. This is the daily chart here. And this daily chart gives us what we call the intermediate look at the market. And then we have the weekly over here on the far right, which is the long term. So notice that all three charts have the same symbol up here. And this is the ETF for gold called GLT. And we're going to go over that in just a minute. But when we use this type of configuration, we call it multiple time frame analysis. And what it allows us to do is increase the timing capability on when to exit or when to exit markets, when to enter and when to exit markets. And also gives us kind of different views of what's going on long term versus short term. So it gives us a better overall picture of what's going on. So I did want to make that clear, because if you're new here, you're going to be like, what's going on with that? And then here's our software tools. This is the ART software. And what this is doing here is looking at price patterns in the market, and also identifying fractal patterns in the market or trend trading patterns in the market. Below that, we have indicators. This one's called the OWL. And this one is looking at the current momentum. This is the PTF. This helps us to determine whether there's going to be more short-term highs or not. This is the TLM. This stands for our trend line master. And then at the very bottom is our fear and greed indicator called the ERI. So when markets get manic or far away from trend lines, normally drawn trend lines, that will kick in and let us know. All right, so let's take a look at gold here. And I'm going to start out here with the weekly chart over here on the far right. I'm going to open this up, make it real big so we can see it easily here. And notice at this particular point, back in 2011, we had a nice move off the bottom. That was wave 3. Then we had a wave 4. And now we're in what we think is a wave 5. And it looks like we're going to have another high. And this is where this indicator called the PTF really helps us a lot, because as you can see, we already went up quite a bit and then pulled back. So it would have been very easy to assume this was a 5, but this indicator is saying up, looks like one more time. It has a 75% accuracy rate, so it's pretty good. So it retraced down to an inflection point and then bounced off it, where we generated a buy on this. So we think the target for the final resting place on this short term is going to be the wave 5 top, which is 201 to 233. And if you look now at, we'll go and look at some of the smaller time frames now. If we look at the daily chart here, which is the one in the center, that's this one here. Notice we had a nice pyramid trading point entry here off the bottom. We had momentum changing from bearish to bullish, and things look pretty good. And so now we've been able to ride it up pretty nicely. And now we're at a situation where you're probably going to get a pullback. So if you take a look at the short-term chart, and this is where all these different time frames can really help us analyze a market. Notice we're starting to see bearish divergence inside the shorter time frame. So we're probably due for a minor correction, not a change in trend, just a minor correction. And it looks like the fib retracement area is going to be around 170 to 165 on gold when it finally decides to correct. Now, it could go a little higher, so we may have to redraw these. But if it corrected today, that's where it would end up. And we're getting kind of extended. So if you take an entry here, it's a little more risky, all right, in terms of a short-term trade, because you're going to get a pretty decent correction probably down into this area here. So you got to be careful. Now, if you're going to buy and hold this thing in terms of a longer-term trade, then you'd want to put your stop as low as possible so you survive any type of pullback. But overall, I think gold is on a tear to the upside, maybe interrupted by a brief correction on its way. So that's one important thing. Now, last week, remember we also talked about GBTC. We've been talking about this for about 2 weeks since it came off its bottom. So let's take a look at this one. Now, we're bullish once again on GBTC, and it has moved up nicely, and it continues to move up. And this is another one here where we've had a nice bounce off a big bottom. So, you know, it went way up and way down, and now it's starting to come back up. So we're in the infancy of maybe possibly a big major move on GBTC. Just a note. Now, if it is a more short-term modest trade, then probably we want to shoot for this target zone here on the daily chart between 17.5 to $23.70. So that's kind of our target. We're sitting right now at 11.31. Hopefully you got in under $10 because that's when we were looking at it to get everybody in. And it's been pretty good. It's going higher. We got green PTFs here and here. We do have a owl here that's pretty small, so we may get a little pullback, but overall I think this is looking pretty good. Now, if we get to this target range here, we're going to watch it, because if it bolts through here, then this could be a major bottom and it could go above 60. So right now we're going to assume that, hey, this could be a moderate or intermediate bottom. Let's take it to the short-term target zone over here, and then let's see what it does when it gets there. And it may be one of these that turns into a long-term trade versus a shorter-term trade. So we either have a major bottom in GBTC, which is very possible, or an intermediate bottom. But even an intermediate bottom should yield a nice profit on this. So hopefully you guys got into this earlier. This was a really good one before. TLT is the other one I wanted to show you this week. Now, TLT has bounced off its bottom nicely, okay? However, we've got a red PTF here that's keeping me from actually going long here. We got red over here as well, but short term, we're going up. So I still think we're going to go a little higher on this. I'm just not convinced that this is a bottom yet that we want to trade off of. So I think this is probably going to come back down, and we're kind of at the inflection point here. So I'm not 100% sold on TLT for a long trade. Now, if things change, I'll be all over it, because I do want to go long on TLT. It's had a tremendous move down. I think it will be a great trade. I'm just working on the timing on that. So that's kind of where we're at now with that. So the other one too on Bitcoin, I think you should think about too, is the Blocktrian mining company. Okay, and that's RIOT. Very similar bounce we got on this that we did on GBTC. So this is another candidate you could spread your money into as well. So I'm liking that pretty nicely there. We'll move this up right about there for the bottom. And so you can see here, even if a short-term trade is taken here, you're at $5.84. So we're looking at a short-term target of 26 to 40. Not too bad, right? That's a, you know, almost a quadruple your money right there. So I'm kind of liking that a lot. If it's a major bottom, of course, it will eventually get above 80. So I know Bitcoins and all these cryptos are kind of a little bit messy in terms of the big sell-off we've had, but you know, it seems like it's from a technical standpoint, not a bad time to put your toe in the water. I wouldn't bet the farm on it. Use risk control just like you do any other trade, but I'm liking these. All right, from a technical standpoint, they're looking really good now, and so I think they're worth the risk. All right, so that are those two. All right, let's go back up and see what you guys and gals out there want to take a look at. And give me a second while I go. So Eleanor, I think you're the first one here. RIG. Let's take a look at RIG. Then we'll take a look at Oracle for you. All right, so nice bounce off a bottom. Let's open up this weekly chart for just a moment here. So great example of a stock that went. This is when the buy and hold people, all right, kind of think, well, you know, trading's not such a bad idea because it went way up. I held on to it and it went way down. Whereas the traders being more actively acute on the trend would have been out using our system way up here. Okay. And if anything, you know, now it's bottoming. And so now it may look pretty good for a long trade if it breaks out of this channel. So the next question is, has it broken out? Well, it actually appears like it has maybe broken out. So if you drew a straight line off this high here, actually up here, okay, then you're kind of going back almost 2.5 years, 3 years. All right, so that's a significant area that it broke out on, and that was early last year. And then you had this back earlier, and it has not hit that one yet, but that will be the next point to see. But look at this. All right, you've got entries here and here on this green, no red. So nothing is keeping you back on that. So that's looking pretty good. Let's go to the lower time frames. Lower time frames are looking good. So I'm liking this one. Okay. The only thing is stop loss placement, because you got to be really careful here because you'll probably get some form of a pullback, and you've got bearish divergence building here. So if you were trading the 60-minute time frame, your stop would be here. But we're not really suggesting doing that. So we need to kind of see which pyramid we want to use for our stop on this. And let's take a look at the fibs and see. All right, so these stops here are a little on the tight side because they're sitting inside a retracement zone. All right, I think I'd put the stop right under the fib at 3.73. You've got green here and green here. So I think you can go in. You just got to make sure that stop is low enough. Okay, but so you don't get stopped out in volatility. So I like RIG. Okay, let's put that as one of our winners for today. All right, with the only caveat that it will pull back at some point. So you could wait for the pullback if you wanted to, but I think after the pullback, it should go much, much higher. So I'm kind of liking that one, Eleanor. I think that's pretty good. All right, let's keep going here. I see a lot coming in here. Oracle, ORCL. All right, so Oracle, let's open up that weekly chart again. So this was a classic wave 3. Look at that, boom. So wave 1, wave 2, and wave 3 in terms of the Elliott wave. So if you're new here, you're not sure what all these numbers mean, like 1, 2, 3. Those are part of a technical analysis model called the Elliott wave, and it assigns numbers to different movements in a market or in a trend, and also corrections have numbers and letters as well. So the idea behind the Elliott wave is that there are 5 waves in a trend, and at the end of the 5th wave, which is the end of the trend, then the market changes. So when you have a 3, okay, waves 2 and wave 4 are corrections in that market that's moving up, and usually wave 1 is the first move out of for example, out of a channel. And then wave 2 can actually retrace almost all the way from where the trend began. And that's exactly what happened here. Classic textbook example of that happening. And then wave 3 is usually the most powerful and steepest of all the waves. And that, of course, created a wave 3 owl histogram there. So in a case like this, what do you do? Okay, so we hit the target zone. We have green here. You're going to have bearish divergence once this makes a new high. So that's looking pretty good. Let's go ahead and draw in some longer term fib extensions and see kind of where we're thinking this thing is going to end up. All right. And it looks like probably at some point here, we want to move that up a little bit too. Right around 123 to 160 is the target. All right. Now, one thing I've noticed here is on this move off the bottom here, which could be 4, you're due for a pullback. Okay. You really haven't gotten that yet. So you got to keep that stop low enough so you don't get taken out if your intentions are to get up to 123 to 160. Let's go to the daily chart here. All right, so that's looking pretty good. Okay, so here's a problem. You've got red over here on the 60-minute. So that's going to keep me out. I need to have this green and I need to have this either yellow or green. So I don't want to go long because the short-term time frame says we're going to pull back more. We've got bearish divergence. So stay out of this for right now. Let's look at this next week because this can change very quickly. It can change in a week. That's only a 60-minute chart. So every price bar represents an hour there, whereas the chart in the center represents a full day. So while I like it long-term, short-term, not quite ready yet, let's put this baby on a watch list, okay? ORCL. So we'll call that watch list and then ones you can take right away. So RIG is good right away. Oracle, we wait on. All right, let's keep going. Good ones. Thank you, Eleanor. All right, William, good morning. All right, GNTY for you. I'll start out with that one. I see I have a bunch, so I'll get to those others. All right, so let's see where we are here. All right, kind of interesting. All right, market's moving sideways. We've got all yellow PTF, so that's not really going to help us that much. We got low liquidity on this. Look at the liquidity on the 60-minute chart. Another thing, nice thing about using multiple time frame analysis, when you have a short-term chart, you're going to know pretty quickly if the liquidity is decent on that chart without having to even look at the volume. Because look at this, you're seeing spots here, okay? So right away, that's kind of suspect. You're also got a kind of a messy market. I don't see really any trade here at this particular point. If anything, our system's got you short. And because this is a short, this is a short. But let's see where the target is. I'm not really sure you got enough profit here to make the target worthwhile because you're kind of already in it. So I would pass on this one, okay? That one does not excite me. Let's take a look at GEO. All right, give that a second to load on the 60, and there we go. Okay, so GEO, let's open up the weekly. Nice move down, okay, very big move down. Looked like it bottomed here, and now it's starting to move up. And of course, pyramids early on. And then we have this as well. So this trade could have been taken way back here under 10 bucks. But let's see, and that's based off the pyramid trading point entries. And basically what we do is we think about stops under the bottom or base legs of the pyramid that form the support. Entries are on top of the point of the pyramid called the apex. All right, so here's the deal with this. We got green and green. We're going to make probably more highs. But also by the same token, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pyramids in a row. So we're kind of due for a pullback. All right, we've got red here. I wouldn't go long here. It's too late. Okay, after this many pyramids, it's just too late. This is red. Wait for the pullback. All right, you probably get one. You really haven't had a big one yet on the weekly. So this thing could pull back and go to 8 bucks very easily. And then I think you should take a look at it at that point. So put this on a watch list. Let's look at it next week. But I'm saying no entry right now on that. And this is, you know, do you see how easy this is when you have the right tools? Okay, tools are everything in this business. VRTV. So much different than investing where you're going after a historical annual return based on diversification and things of that nature. This is a totally different business. All right, VRTV. Let's take a look at that. All right, right away, this is jumping out at me, red, so I can't do a long trade. Looks like it's actually coming down. We've had a 3, so it looks like it's coming down. Let's go ahead and draw in a fib retracement area. and just take a look at that. All right, so we got a 2 there, and I think we can probably go up to about there. So you're pretty close to the target, but it looks like it's going to go down a little bit further. So I would not do this one, okay? And let's take a look at SI. All right, so this one now, all the way up and all the way down. Not as much history as some of the others, only go back to 220. But again, not a good case for buy and hold, is it? All right, so that is the problem with buy and hold sometimes. That's why you have to have diversification when you do that kind of investment model. All right, now let's see if there's a possibility here for a trade. It's really too late to go short. Look at all the pyramids. It had you short already. Nice profitable trade you would have had there. But now, we're getting to a point where we're getting very close, I think, to a bottom here. You've got bullish divergence here. You've got a pyramid still active here, so you can't go long. I would not go long based on these pyramids, with this one being still bearish. So we got to have a little bit more show to the upside, and we're not quite there yet. Watch list, yes. Active trade right now, no. Okay, could be real good to the upside. Again, just give it a little more time. All right, so that is, I think I did all of yours, Bill. So I think we're okay there. Paul, let me see. Where are you? Okay, Microsoft. Okay, let's take a look at Microsoft. I'm going to open up the weekly chart first and get that bigger picture. All right, classic Elliott wave here. See, this is clarity. When you can see this instead of a mess on your chart, that's 3. Okay, this is working its way on 4. Maybe a little bit more. We got to give it a little more time. This is not green yet. But don't forget, the weekly chart will be the last chart out of the 3 to actually turn. Think of the weekly chart like an aircraft carrier in a fleet. The smaller ships will turn first, but it takes that aircraft carrier a little longer to turn because it's so big. Same thinking with weekly charts here. So this is green, indicating wave 5 should exceed wave 3. So we're okay there. All right, we've got the fib retracement here properly. Could go deeper into the target zone. That's the only thing I'm trying to think about in terms of whether I want to try a long trade. Let's see if the shorter time frames help us. And they do. Okay, and they do because they're telling us not to go long. This is red, this is red, this is red, okay, and this is red. So again, because you got you're looking at the market across a variety of different time frames, and you've got the right tools, it's telling you not yet. Okay, wait on the timing. So Microsoft, you can put that on a watch list as well, but it's no go. And this one might take a little longer to work its way out. All right, you very easily could go back and make a new low into the target zone. We're just going to have to wait and see. But for right now, don't do anything on this. All right, so that's Microsoft. AMD is the next one. I think we looked at AMD. I think we kind of either liked it or it was on a watch list or something at the time. No, I think we actually liked it. All right, so let's take a look at this bad boy. All right, I think when we looked at it before, it was coming off its bottom. We liked it there. Here's your pullback. See? Let me just tell you, I've been doing this a long time. Every time you get a spring off the bottom, I don't want to say always, but let's just say 99.99%, you get a significant pullback, and there it is. That's why I'm always saying, when you make a trade off the bottom, if you can, put that stop at the very bottom, or else you're going to get stopped out on the pullback. Now, another way you could do this is you could trade this move here, maybe using a smaller time frame. That's fine, but that's not, this would have done very nicely on that move up on that time frame. But it depends what your intentions are. If your intentions are to catch a significant position trade and hold on to it for a while and try to make it up to the target of 159 to 224, and we're sitting at 68. All right, it's a different approach than a super short-term trade. So you got to give that market leeway. And what I like to always do, if I can, is get that stop at the very bottom. All right, so you're not going to go in until you're above this bearish pyramid, and you got a pyramid here. So that stop has got to go here. Now, if we break out and make a new high and go above here, you can move the stop here. Okay. But for right now, it's got to be kept at the bottom. Now, would I recommend this right today? Not until this turns green. Okay. Because you may have a little bit of a pullback and get a better price. But that's how we time it. We wait for this to be okay, this to be okay, and we try to go in the direction of the overall larger move. I don't worry about the red PTF, red owl here too much, because that's going to be the last to turn. And if you want to get a good price, you got to use these time frames to try to get in at an excellent price. So you can put that stop at the bottom. And that way, the only way you're stopped out is if you're wrong. Okay. So AMD, if you're in it, hold it, because the stop's at the bottom. This bearish pyramid was already taken, is voided out. So don't worry about that. Just keep your stop low. Okay. So that's AMD. Stay with it if you're in it. If you're not in it, wait until that turns bullish on the 60-minute for sure. Okay. So kind of cool. All right. Let's see what else we got. Great picks today. All right. So GEO we looked at already. You're short the spider. How are you short the spider? Is it just, are you short the SPY contract, or are you short using an inverse ETF? And this is for Frank. So if you're short the spider, okay, it looks pretty good to be short, except on this time frame here. So what does that mean when you have this red, this red, this red, this red, but this is not? Okay, because that confuses people. I mean, what do you have happening there? Well, here's what really the system is telling you. The system is telling you short term, we're still moving down, and we have a high probability of going below this number here, which is not very far away, which is basically this number. All right, this is telling you, okay, that after this is satisfied, then you want to pay attention to this, because we're probably going to move back up again. All right, this is saying the major trend is down. So even if we move back up again, it should fail and come back down. So the long-term trend is bearish, which indicates, like I've been saying, we're in a bearish market now. The infancy is really of a bearish market. Short term, we may go a little higher. Okay, we may see over the next week or so a little bit of a higherness here. But that does not mean the long-term chart changes to a bullish chart. Okay, so again, the way I like to work short positions in a bear market is I usually don't try to trade the swings of a bear market. Bear market short-term trades are really difficult unless you go to a really low time frame. So what I like to do is if I initiate shorts based on a long-term correction, which is what I think we're in now, I want to get those stops as high as possible and leave it alone. Okay, because the volatility you're going to experience during a bear market, if you try to short-term trade it, is going to stop you out. So if you can get that stop high enough, like right up here, okay, or here, even better, at the top, then you have a strong chance of surviving the volatility. And you just want to leave it alone unless you're stopped out, and then cover when you get down to the fib target. And we think that fib target is going to be between 15,000 and probably 18,000 on the Dow. All right. So that's, but again, you just leave it alone and don't try to short-term trade it unless you choose the right time frame. Okay. So that is kind of where I'm going with that. So hopefully, Frank, that helped you. All right. So let's see. Stuart, how are you, Stuart? All right. TSLA. Tesla. Go Tesla. I've been doing too good today. All right. So, or this past couple of weeks anyway. It's even going deeper dive. All right. So what do we got going on with Tesla? Let's open up this bad boy here. So we had a big move up here. All right. Off the bottom. All right. Everybody knows about that. It was Wall Street's darling for a while, and not so much now. All right. So here's the situation we got to think about here. All right, this so far looks like a 3, okay, at this particular point. But, we could have had a 3 here and a 4 here and a 5, which is the change in trend. So kind of interesting going on. And that's kind of where I'm thinking we're at here. So in terms of the trend down, it's still coming. All right. This is negative. This is bullish. So I'm thinking this may be a 1, 2, and maybe a 3. Remember that other chart where I showed you where we had the 1 up, the 2 down, and then the broad base 3? This could be what we're seeing now. So we kind of want to keep that kind of thinking about that. And if you notice here, all right, notice I draw the fibs here. So if this was a 3, this was a 2, this is a 1, then this hit the wave 4 target and then made another high. And notice we had the red owl, which you have to have for a wave 5, and bearish divergence. Okay. So that's kind of what I'm thinking there. And if that's the 5 waves inside the impulsive wave, then chances are, since this broke out from here, it's not a 3, it's a 1. And this severe pullback here is a 2. Okay. And if we get a bounce off here at some point, then we're going to be in the strongest of the bullish waves, which is wave 3, but we're not there yet. So I think that's kind of where we're at. If you notice, things are perking up a little bit on the lower time frames, a little bit of bullishness here, a little bit of bullishness here. And so we still have a red owl here. I can't take this bullish pyramid here. If this turns green, all right, that may be signaling a go ahead for an early trade off this bottom. And what I usually do when I make a really early trade is I always like to see worst case scenario. If it's just a bounce, where am I going? And that's 186 to 239. So that's a pretty decent bounce. And if it blows past that, then it is a wave 3. You just hold on to it. So I'm liking this. The only thing, Stuart, this has got to turn green. Let's put Tesla on the watch list. This is a really good one, I think, that could be developing. But let's look at it next week and see if that rolls over into a green owl. All right, so that's Tesla TSLA. All right, let's see. What else? I think you had a couple more. Okay, TSM. Give that a second to load. All right, so this one, nice coming off the bottom here. Okay, my problem with this right away is this. Okay, if this was a major bottom, this would not be red. Now, if it changes, fine, but right now it's red. All right, so that's indicating any move up is temporary. All right, and then we should slide down. So where do we think this temporary move up could be? Well, let's take a look and see, and basically kind of do this. So we're looking maybe 92 to 113, and we have bullishness here and bullishness still here. We have, we do have bearish divergence, maybe a 3, 4, 5. I think we're close to a top. I think we're going to go a little higher, you know, probably in the 90 to 95 to 100 range. But I think that's going to be it. All right. And then we should see more selling. So I would stay away from this one. Okay. TSM. CE is our next one. Now, how you could assess this without the right trading tools is beyond me. Okay. If you don't have the right trading tools, there's no way you can make these type of interpretations. So it's really important if you're going to do this business to get the right tools. All right. So here's a situation where we have bearishness on the weekly chart. Let's open that up. All right. So kind of almost looks a little bit like the Dow or the NASDAQ actually. All right. Because here's your COVID low. Here's your top. Here's your movement, little retracement here. So there you have that. Let's see what else we got. Lower time frames, a little more bullish. This is bullish here. All right. And this has got a red. I wouldn't go into this now. Okay. I think you got to be careful here because we really don't know at this particular point if we're just going to get a retracement off this and then further selling. So if we look at this here, we're kind of at the target zone. We've got a green PTF, so it's going to go a little higher into the target zone. I'm not excited about this one, okay? Not that excited about it. It has to prove itself a little bit more. And from right now, this may only be, we may be close to the end of the bullishness on this, or it could be getting ready to take off, but I can't make that assessment right now. All right. All I can tell you is I would not be trading this. Okay. So that's CE. All right. So hopefully I got them all that you wanted there. Okay. SAIC. SAIC. Let's see what we got here. And this one is for Bill. Hey, Bill. All right. SAIC. Okay. So this one is definitely bearish at this time. All right. We've had a big move up. All right. Again, this type of volatility, really difficult to trade. Okay. Especially short term. This is red and has been since for quite some time. All right. So the next correction, that's going to probably be pretty nasty. All right. I'm not saying we're there yet, but next one looks like it could be pretty nasty. So we got a red owl here and a red PTF over here. We've got a nice move down already. So I think probably let's open up the 60-minute chart here. Yeah, I think maybe at this particular point, you've got this. I would stay away from this, and maybe a short trade only would have been better, way up in this area of around 110, or at least when it broke here at 108. Wait for a rebound and then maybe see if you can take a short trade again. Okay, so I'm liking it for a short trade, not a long trade. But I think I'd wait a little bit, maybe scalp it using the PTF. Okay. So that's where we are now. SOFI, SOFI, SOFI. Let's take a look at that one for a bit. All right, not bad. Okay. Not too shabby here. All right, so we've had a nice move down, not a lot of history. So only warning here is you got an active pyramid with a stop here. You do have this occurring. You do have the indications of a possible rebound here. Let's go ahead and open this chart up and let's see. Yeah, okay. So a couple of things here. All right, you've taken out the bearish pyramid here. So technically, if you were short this market, you'd be out. You have green here, green here, green here, green here. You've had that big move off the bottom. So what do you got to do? You got to put that stop low because guess what's coming? The pullback. All right. So, and here's the hard part about trading. When you show up a little bit late like this, then the question becomes, do you go in or do you wait for the pullback? Now, if you decide to wait for the pullback, well, this could go a little higher and then the pullback comes and it might be exactly where it is now. All right. Okay. All right. Or maybe you can't get in quite as good. That's one of the issues. But if you go in now, all right, you have to have the stop low enough. So if it pulls back, all right, you can survive the pullback. Okay. So that's kind of what every trader has to deal with when they're in a situation where they may not have gotten in at the perfect place, but it still is a good trade. And why do I say this is a good trade? For a variety of reasons. All right. First of all, let's just say we got a rebound only on this. Well, if I go here, the rebound is huge, 1193 to 1696, and we're at 558. So that's a double your money. Okay. We've got a green PTF on the daily chart, basically saying, heck, we're going up into the 20s. So we could be going up way up in here. So this is something that is worth the trade. So I would go long, and I'm going to put this on an immediate. Okay, so this is a winner for today. I think you can go long. You've got to put that stop at the bottom. Your risk to reward is still good because if you get up to at least this here, which is lower than the PTF, you got a 2-to-1 risk to reward. You almost got like a 3-to-1. So that is really good. You will get a pullback. Okay, I can almost guarantee it. And could come down to 480 before it goes higher. All right, but if you want to get in now, you could. Everything is green, 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 green. And even though this is not green, all right, again, that's the aircraft carrier, so that'll be the last to turn. So I'm liking it, okay? All right, so SOFI goes on the win list for today. Thank you, Bill. Okay, THX for Frank. Let's take a look at that bad boy. Let's try that again, see what we got. Not seeing it, Frank. I'm not seeing it. Frank, you've got very esoteric there. All right, so PL, let's go PLTR. PLTR. Oh, that's esoteric too. Maybe there's something wrong here. If it's a second, let's see what we got here. Might have a slow data problem. I'll try yours again, Frank, and see if that comes up. There it comes. Okay, good. The data gods are slow for some reason at this point. Happens. All right, so THX. All right, so we've got a red PTF here. So any move up is temporary. All right. And, look at all the pyramids you have up on this move here. So kind of very swingy up here. All right. Very swingy. So let's open this one up here and take a look. And you can see this kind of mess here. So my question would be, why would you want to get in that? And that's just not for Frank, it's for everybody. Why mess with that when you have something like a SOFI or a rig to look at that are much better? So if anything, this could be a scalp trade using the PTF, but then we have to look at the lower time frames and see what's cooking on that. Okay. So we kind of got a lot going on. Okay. TX stands for thanks. Well, maybe that's true. It certainly could be. That's pretty funny. That's like, when I was doing the trade station morning briefs every Wednesday, I did that for like 10 years. When I first started it, one of the guys put it in GM, okay? And I thought he meant General Motors. And he was really just saying good morning. So it's kind of funny. All right, that's why I always say, put your stock symbols in caps so I don't misunderstand them, okay? All right, that's pretty funny. All right, so let's see. Hey, AMST. Let's see if we got better data. Let's see if he's bringing it up here. Okay. All right. Must have been just those couple there. All right. AMST. So this goes back to what, 2020. So not a lot. It came way down. It's this is a penny stock. Okay. You actually have decent volume on the 60-minute for a penny stock. You do have a green PTF. Okay. So, all right. You can lose just as much money on a penny stock, if not more, than a regular stock because they can be very erratic. And even though they sound so attractive because they're so cheap, all right, don't be deceived. You still have to do position sizing and everything. All right. So what's the possibilities here? Well, you have green here, green here, green here, and green here. All right. Stop. The problem is the stop's got to go pretty far down. Okay. 50% down almost. All right. So right away, that is the problem. Now you probably could use maybe here, but you're still talking 25 cents. I think one tick under here at the very, very least. Okay. But your target is up here. So your potential for a nice gain is pretty good. You just got to make sure you don't get, you can see it's pretty volatile. These penny stocks, all right, I don't want to say manipulated, but because of the lower volume, they can be somewhat subjective to large orders. So you kind of have to be a little careful. But from a technical standpoint, this is a go. So I would have to put this down as a yes. Stop loss placement is going to be critical. Okay. So you got about a $1 profit potential based on the scalp trade of the PTF. You don't even need to know the Elliott wave, okay, on that. All you have to worry about is the PTF. And if you look, let's open up this one for just a second and bring that down. But if you look at this and we draw some fibs in, I'll bet you the fibs are going to at least match. Oh boy, that is way up here. All right, that's way above the PTF. So that could be your potential as well. But if you wanted to take a quick scalp trade, this has a 75% probability. You just got to make sure your stop is at the right place so you don't get stopped out before you reach that probability. Okay, so cool. All right. So let's see what else we got. All right, BLDP. BLDP. Oh, okay, BLDP. All right, so here is BLDP. Okay, so let's open up that weekly chart. Again, great case for buy and hold, right? All the way up, all the way down. All right, so again, one, maybe two. This cannot be a four. Okay, this is an impulsive wave, and so when it retraces too far for a wave four, you have to assume it's a wave two at that point. So now maybe we'll get a breakout. Now notice here we got bullish divergence here. Nothing red anymore here. We had red for a little while. All right, nothing red here. Okay, and let's take a look and see what's cooking on the short-term time frames. Not too shabby. All right, to pull off its bottom. So you don't have a bearish pyramid anymore. That's a good sign. All right, you do have a red owl here with a green. So what this is saying is that this pullback we're in here is not quite over yet. So you probably will get a low at least below around 540. All right, and let's draw some fibs in on that 60-minute time frame, and I'll bet you that falls right in line with a retracement, normal type of retracement. So let's draw that up, and you can see the 540 is smack in the middle. So I think it's going to go back into the target zone a little bit, and it's possible based on the red owl, but it's also possible you got a green here. So as soon as this correction is done, I take it. So here's the way you play it. This has got to be green. As soon as this is green, look over here. If this is green, here go. Take the long trade. All right. And that will get you in for the next wave 5 on the 60-minute chart. And then if that is, let's open up this for a second. You know, you could return and at some point maybe make another high. But worst case scenario, if it's just a retracement, then that's probably going to be around $20 or so. So let's just draw that in here. Notice I use that second price bar a little lower to be conservative. So around 17 to 24 could be the possibility on this. So I like it. Can't take it because of the red owl on the 60-minute, but let's put that on a watch list and look at it next week, okay? I do think it's a possibility of a bottom on the weekly chart, though, okay? So I do think that is a possibility. All right, Frank, VLO. For some reason, typing those in required me to go over there. I must have a little snafu going on or something. All right, so here's VLO. And you are, okay, so I was asking if it's too late. Probably so, okay? You just cleared this high, but notice the owl on this clearing here was pretty high, and you're starting to get another bearish divergence. So you probably have a 1, 2, I'm going to say 3 up here, 4, maybe 5. And that's going to complete the major move up on wave 3. And then you're going to have probably a pretty decent correction. So this is the largest momentum in the trend. So that's usually found on wave 3. So this whole move up, this is probably 1, 2, this is 3. And what I was doing here is counting the little waves inside this wave 5 here. So of a minor inside wave 3. So little late. I think you're right. PTF is saying only a high here, and you're already there. Okay, and so this is showing bearish divergence, so no go on that. Right idea, just a little late. Okay, just a little late on that. Okay, let's see what else. let's go over, let's take a look and see how the intraday time frames are doing, because I think I got everybody's pick for today. All right, so this is crude oil on a day trading time frame. You know, we run a day trading room, so these are the time frames we use in that room. This is a 5-minute, 1 minute, and a whopping 15-second over here. Believe it or not, in this volatility, 15 seconds been pretty good. All right, so when I see something like this, okay, I'm not going to go long because the lower time frames are bearish. All right, even though this is showing that overall we're probably going to head back up. This is showing short term here and here. So could be interesting for a short scalp trade. So when I trade off the PTF and not off the trend or the Elliott wave, this is called a scalp trade. And it's not quite ready to scalp because this is green here. We got bullish pyramids. I got bullish here. So I probably would leave that one alone for right now. All right. And let's go ahead and take a look quickly at the M&Q and see if that's doing anything. Okay. So that now has moved up off its bottom since the morning. Okay. The PTF is now green, indicating more highs. So I would probably say, yes, but I probably would wait for the pullback. So at this particular point, it's too late to go long if you weren't long already. So you're probably talking about a pullback into this area here. I wouldn't short it, okay, but I would kind of get a feel for when that pulls back. And we may even get one more high because this is green here. So it's kind of Russian roulette. Are you going to get another high here before it goes into this? Or are you going to go into this right away? And because it could go either way, I wouldn't trade it. Okay. What I want to do is if it makes another high, redraw the fibs, then possibly if you want to consider a short to the fibs, maybe at that point, but I'd wait for it to get here and then maybe join the trend to the upside if I missed it already. All right. You're going to find the MES is probably, MES a lot different actually looking. That's unusual. Okay. So I guess they're a little out of sync right now. So this has got a green over here. So it looks like we're going to have bullishness come back. But as you can see, this is pretty untradeable here, even on these short time frames right now. So part of good day trading is being disciplined to wait for the setup. All right, let's take a look at crude oil here. Crude oil had a move down. Now it's moving up, but the PTFs in the short term are red. So this is very similar to gold in that we want to wait for a bearish scenario here and maybe a short to do a scalp trade. Okay. But you got to be careful because a long-term move is up in terms of once a new low comes. So your timing's got to be really careful on that. So a little more difficult on the short time frames right now. Again, this is the micro E-mini Dow futures. These are all futures. And as you can see, that's a pretty confused market. So sometimes you got to sit on your hands a little bit and wait for the right setup. But if you're day trading all day, you got the time, all right? Believe me, this is a 1 minute time frame. In an hour, this will be different. So that's the kind of deal behind that. All right, so I think we're done for today. What do you think? I think we are good. So let me go over the winners real quick. All right. So we got RIG. Let me type it in and see if that, for some reason that's not coming up anymore. All right. So I got to go over here. RIG. All right. So on RIG, okay, we're liking this. Stop loss placement is really important. So you got to put that stop below the fib retracement area or wait for the pullback, either one. But the reason this is a go is because there's nothing here saying not to go. Okay. The only thing here is that it's extended. So that's the only drawback on that trade. And, if you look at the long-term chart, if we're getting in early here, this is going to be a hell of a nice move. All right. So I think you're probably going to go quite a ways on this. So I'd like to get in it. I'm going to recommend it, but I also with a caveat that you got to put the stop low. Okay. So that is it. SOFI is our next one. And let's see if that one loads. Okay, there you go. All right, so that is one here that we like to the long side as well. Again, another caveat is you've got to have your stop, very, very low, at least under a area where it could come down to. And let's take a look at that, what more specifically where that area could be. So we got a situation where we've moved up here, 1, 2. I'm not so sure that's quite over, but let's assume it is, because I think you got another green here. Let me just see if this is, yeah, this is green now. So it could come back to 517 to 482. But again, green, 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 green. So make sure your stop is below 482. And I think you probably want to use at least this pyramid here on the daily chart. So I'm liking that. But again, the caveat, stop has to be far enough away. And then AMST. All right. This is our penny stock. All right, Al, I think this was yours. Okay, so on this one here, again, do your risk control, do your trade size, set your stop as low as you can. Okay, as low as you can. And the potential is great, but treat this just like any other trade. Don't bet the farm because it's so cheap, and you can. Instead, use risk control and do the right trade size. Okay. All right, so that is it. All right, so we got Rig as a winner from Eleanor, SOFI from Perry, and then I think Al for AMST. So there we are. All right, and the day trading time frames are kind of sideways, so I think we'll kind of stay off those because it's going to take a little while for those to unwind. And I think that's it for this week. What do you think, guys and gals, for that matter? All right, good. All right, well, listen, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you here, of course, next Friday for Stock Analysis Friday. Great time. I'm going to put the MES up there just to kind of, for now, or the Dow I could put up there. Let's put the MES. I think E-minis are pretty popular with everybody. You can see kind of it tick by tick, and then we'll close the room in a few minutes. But as you can see, definitely a market that is, you don't want to be caught in this. Okay, this is kind of hands off until it takes a direction. All right, so thanks everybody, and we'll see you back here next Friday. I'll put a little music on. I'll leave these up for 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll close the room. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Whoops, I see one more that just came in. Let's do that one real quick. And this is for Steve. URI. So let me just go over to the longer term time frames and put in URI. You never know. You just might find one, right? All right, so let's see what we got cooking here. All right, so URI. All right, kind of a little bit off its bottom already, so I'm afraid to go in at a little late to go in on this. You've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pyramids. You're probably in a little bit of a pullback now that's probably going to deepen before it goes forward. Long term, let's open up this. It's looking pretty good long term. Okay, I gotta admit there. So you're looking good here. I think that's probably a 2. So let's draw in here the retracement from here to here. So you hit that, you're bounced off that. Let's see where this baby's going with a fib extension. So you got some profit, but you see you're already up pretty high. So 3, 4, 5 target between 453 and 589. So if you're in it, just stay in it. Okay, you should be okay. But you're going to get a pullback off this run here, and the point of inflection could be here before it goes back up. So that's where you got to be careful not to have your stop so close that you get stopped out. And I think that's the hardest part about trading in general is that, things don't move straight up. So you'll have a profit, then you have to give a little back in hopes to reach the next profit higher. And that is the hard part about trading, is being able to distinguish and handle that kind of pullback and let that profit go temporarily while trying to get to the higher profit level. All right, so that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm not going to recommend this because I think at this time, too many pyramids, pull back, but let's take a look at it next week, okay? If we get a decent pullback, you'll have a nice move back up. And also, too, you're so close to the target over here that a pullback will increase that risk to reward. All right, so thanks, Steve. Okay, all right, let's go back to the MES and see if there's any direction coming out, maybe a little bit to the upside here. All right, kind of still got to get above here for it to be anything, but that's pretty messy. All right, I'm just going to open this up here and see what we've got here. So yeah, you kind of want to go for a long trade here, I think. You got PTF is green, you got a bottoming sequence here. So not too shabby at this point. You could go long here. Okay, you could go long here. You'd want to lower that trade size down here and then maybe increase it if you get a pullback at some point. But yeah, you could go long here, but you have to have the stop pretty far under that area here because of the volatility we're seeing here today. All right. So that type of thing. Okay. Not the best pattern I've ever seen, but it is a possibility. In any case, I'll leave it there and you guys can watch it for another couple minutes and see what happens. All right. So we'll see you next week.